All right, everyone, buckle up because we're headed to Oz.
The pause.
Well, not exactly the one Dorothy took us to.
Oh,
We're going deeper into the story behind the story with the Wicked movie adaptation.
boy.
Specifically, part one,
Okay.
which, let me tell you, is lighting up the box office.
I bet.
You know, The Wizard of Oz,
Yeah, force.
The Yellow Brick Road.
The ruby slippers.
Exactly.
So Wicked takes all that,
And well, kind of flips it on its head.
flips it.
Like, it makes us rethink everything we thought we knew about good and evil.
Now that's clever.
Wicked tells the story from the Wicked Witch of the West's perspective.
Oh, so Elphaba.
Elphaba, exactly.
Instead of being the cackling villain,
Right?
she's presented as someone we can actually sympathize with.
Yeah, like someone who's been misunderstood.
Makes you wonder.
It does.
Maybe she wasn't really wicked after all.
Oh, for sure. And the movie is visually stunning.
I've heard that.
And the music, oh my goodness.
Those iconic songs.
Plus, Cynthia Erivo as Elphaba.
Oh, she's amazing.
Critics are raving about her performance.
Powerhouse performance, some are
Big
saying.
powerhouse, yes.
I heard someone say she could act with her fingernails.
Really? I mean, she's incredible, but wow, that's a new one.
You know what, though?
What?
It's her voice that truly captivates you.
Oh, absolutely.
There are these moments when she channels this like raw,
Raw.
almost bluesy sound that just gives you chills.
I get chills just thinking about it.
But it's not just the power.
No.
She brings such vulnerability to the role.
Right, you really feel for Elphaba.
You see her strength, of course, but you also sense her pain
And the isolation of being different.
of being constantly othered by society.
And having Cynthia Erivo, a black actress, play Elphaba.
Adds another layer to that.
It does.
It's not just about green skin anymore.
Right, it makes you think about prejudice in a whole new light.
Exactly. Especially when Glinda calls Elphaba's green skin a problem.
Oh, wow.
That line takes on a whole new meaning,
It does.
given our current social climate.
And that actually brings me to Ariana Grande as Glinda.
Oh.
I know the reviews have been a bit mixed.
Yeah.
Some people love her charm.
She's got that bubbly energy.
She does, but some find her portrayal a little lacking.
I can see that.
What did you think?
Honestly, I enjoyed her performance,
Okay.
but I get why some might feel it misses that satirical edge.
Interesting.
Like you're waiting for that wink to the audience,
A wink?
acknowledging that the good girl persona is just that.
Like maybe
Yeah.
the movie is trying to say something about performative activism,
Oh, absolutely.
about unreflective wokeism.
Especially with Glinda's arc.
Yes, like in that scene
Which one?
where she's so focused on making Elphaba popular.
Right, she misses the deeper issues.
Completely.
So caught up in appearing good,
That she doesn't realize.
she's actually causing harm.
That's a good point.
And the fact
Yeah.
that all of this is happening at Shiz University,
It's like a microcosm
it is.
of our own cultural battle
Like the movie is holding up a mirror
to society.
and making us examine those same power
Yeah,
dynamics.
it's pretty intense when you think about it that way.
Oh, yeah.
Shiz becomes this battleground.
For identity politics, especially.
And then you have the wizard,
Ah, yes.
this seemingly benevolent figure.
But he's pulling the strings,
Totally.
manipulating everyone with his propaganda.
It's kind of scary how his tactics,
Feels so familiar.
right? Like ripped from the headline.
The film doesn't shy away from those parallels.
Not at all.
I think that's what makes Wicked more than just a fairy tale.
It makes you think about how easily,
We can be swayed.
by those in power, even when they're leading us down a dangerous path.
Exactly.
Like the movie is shouting,
Question everything.
yes, don't just accept the narrative you're being fed.
Think for yourself.
But amidst all the political and social commentary, we can't forget that Wicked is a musical,
At its heart.
and the musical moments are just spectacular.
I mean, come on.
Who doesn't get chills when Elphaba belts out Defying Gravity?
Talk about an iconic moment.
It's not just the song,
No.
it's the visual spectacle,
Of Elphaba rising above the stage.
literally defying limitations.
And the movie takes it to
to a whole other level.
with those sweeping camera shots.
And the visual effects.
Pure movie magic.
But Defying Gravity isn't the only standout number.
So many good ones.
What did you think of Dancing Through Life?
Oh, I loved it.
So energetic and visually inventive.
With all those intricate dance sequences.
Right.
But it's more than just that.
Okay, what else?
It's a song about freedom,
Freedom.
about embracing who you are.
And living life on your own terms.
Exactly. And that message is so central to Elphaba's journey.
It really is. Now, speaking of journeys,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on Wicked being split into two parts?
Ah, the two-parter.
Some fans are excited.
More Wicked to enjoy.
Others are, well,
Not so thrilled about the wait.
exactly. They want to see how it all ends.
Understandable.
What about you?
I was a little skeptical at first.
You and me both?
But the more I think about it,
Yeah.
I see the potential.
Okay.
It allows for a deeper exploration of the story
That's true.
and the characters.
Especially since.
The first film ends on such a cliffhanger.
I know, right?
You're left wondering what's going to happen next.
How will Elphaba and Glinda's paths diverge?
And how will it all connect to The Wizard of Oz?
So many questions.
It's like we're only seeing half the picture right now.
And we gotta wait a whole year to see the rest.
But the anticipation is part of the fun.
Oh, it is.
It's like a good book that you can't put down.
I love that analogy.
You're left wanting more.
And that's the mark of a truly captivating story. Couldn't agree more.
And just think about all the incredible musical moments we still have coming in part 2.
Oh, I know, right?
No good deed for good.
And of course, the heart-wrenching, as long as you're mine.
Like part 1 sets the stage, introduces the character.
Shows us their complexities.
And now we're ready for all the emotional ups and downs of Act 2.
It's almost as if we're experiencing the story the same way the characters are living it.
Oh, I like that.
Part 1 ends with Elphaba and Glinda going their separate ways.
Each of them grappling with their own choices.
And their consequences.
Yeah, and now we have to wait and see how their paths will converge.
Or maybe diverge even further.
In part 2.
Exactly. And speaking of choices, what did you think of Fiyero in this first installment?
Jonathan Bailey.
Yes.
He brought a certain charm and humor to the role.
Oh, absolutely. Even though his screen time was limited.
You could still feel his charisma.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It'll be interesting to see how his character develops in the sequel.
I can't wait. And the chemistry between him, Elphaba, and Glinda.
Ooh, that love triangle.
You can already feel the tension simmering.
And knowing the stage production,
Yeah.
we know that love triangle is going to be a major plot point in part 2.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm so curious to see how they adapt those pivotal moments.
Especially the ones that tie directly into The Wizard of Oz.
It's like they're slowly revealing those familiar elements, but with the wicked twist.
Right, like we're seeing glimpses of the Wicked Witch of the East.
The flying monkeys.
Even those iconic ruby slippers.
But through this new lens,
This reimagined perspective.
it makes you question everything you thought you knew about those symbols.
Like the film is saying, don't take anything for granted.
There's always more to the story than meets the eye.
And that goes for the characters, too.
Oh, for sure.
Even the seemingly minor characters.
Right.
Dr. Dillamon, the talking goat.
Oh, yeah, I love him.
He has more depth than you might initially realize.
I think his character really highlights the theme of animal rights.
And the dangers of prejudice.
It's a subtle message, but powerful, especially in the context of the film's broader exploration of social justice.
And the fight against oppression.
Now, we can't talk about Wicked without acknowledging the incredible production design.
Oh my God.
Costumes!
The set.
Special effects.
It's just also visually stunning and immersive.
Like stepping into a dream.
Elphaba's gowns are breathtaking.
I know, right?
Those intricate patterns and dark flowing fabrics.
And then you have Glinda's wardrobe.
All sparkle and shine.
And pastel colors.
It's such a perfect visual representation of their contrasting personalities.
And worldviews.
Exactly. Those visual cues are so important.
You really are.
They help us understand the characters, their motivations, even their inner conflicts.
Each costume
Each set piece
is telling its own story.
Exactly.
Now, what about the CGI? I know there's been some debate,
Some people feel it's a bit overdone,
but I think it works.
especially in a film that's creating this fantastical, larger-than-life world.
I agree. I think the CGI enhances the story.
Not distracts from it.
Exactly like in Defying Gravity.
Oh, yeah.
The CGI creates that sense of awe and wonder as Elphaba soars above the crowd.
You couldn't achieve that same effect with practical effects alone.
Right. And it's not just about spectacle,
There are some really interesting visual metaphors
like how Elphaba's shadow grows larger.
as her powers increase,
Such a subtle visual cue.
but it speaks volumes about her transformation
And the growing threat she poses.
to the wizard's regime.
It's all about balance.
Finding that balance between spectacle and substance.
I think Wicked does a pretty good job of that.
It's both visually stunning and thought-provoking.
And of course, we can't forget the music.
Oh, the music.
You mentioned some of the big numbers we have to look forward to in part 2.
Yeah.
But what about the music from part 1?
So many good ones.
What are some of your favorites?
I have to say, I was really impressed with how the film expanded on some of the musical numbers from the stage production.
Oh, like which ones?
Popular, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
It felt so much more dynamic and visually engaging in the film.
And the way they used it to highlight the superficiality of Glinda's world.
And the pressure to conform.
Genius.
It takes on a whole new meaning in the context of the film.
I also love the way they staged What Is This Feeling?
That opening number.
Oh, so much energy.
That sense of rivalry and attraction between Elphaba and Glinda.
Electric.
You could feel the tension between them.
The choreography was brilliant.
And let's not forget about Elphaba's solo dance scene.
Oh, that was powerful.
That moment where she finds expression and defiance through movement.
It's a reminder that sometimes words just aren't enough.
Sometimes we need other outlets.
Other ways to communicate.
In that moment, Elphaba's dance speaks volumes.
About her inner turmoil.
And her determination to break free.
You know, one thing that struck me about the music was how it reflects the complexities of the characters.
Oh, how so?
Elphaba's songs have this dark, brooding quality.
Makes sense.
While Glinda's music is light and bubbly, but then there are those moments
when their musical styles blend.
Almost like their personalities are merging.
Oh, that's a great observation.
It's like the music is foreshadowing their intertwined destinies.
It also speaks to the idea that even though they seem like polar opposites,
They actually have a lot in common.
they both yearn for acceptance, for love.
For a sense of belonging.
And they're both willing to defy expectations to achieve those things.
But as we know, their paths will lead them down very different roads.
Which brings us back to that cliffhanger ending.
I know.
We were left with so many questions.
So many possibilities.
Where will Elphaba go from here?
How will she use her power?
And what role will Glinda play in her destiny?
It's almost like they've set the stage for this epic showdown.
Between good and evil.
But of course, in Wicked, those lines are never clear-cut.
Right.
And that's what makes it so compelling.
We're forced to confront our own biases.
Our own preconceived notions of who's good and who's bad.
Wicked is more than just entertainment.
It really is.
It's a story that challenges us to think critically, to question our assumptions, and to see the world from multiple perspectives.
And that's something we could all benefit from doing a little more of.
Yeah, it really makes you think, huh?
It does.
Like, are we sure we're on the right side of history?
Good question.
And speaking of history, well, more like the future.
The future.
That cliffhanger ending of part 1.
Oh, it leaves us with so many questions.
It does.
Where do you think Elphaba goes from here?
Well, we know from The Wizard of Oz that she eventually becomes the Wicked Witch.
Right. The one we all know. And maybe fear a little.
But what's interesting is how Wicked makes us understand her journey.
Okay.
She's not born evil. She's a product of her circumstances, of a society that rejects her.
For being different.
Exactly.
It makes you wonder if any of us,
given the right circumstances,
would become the wicked one.
It's a chilling thought.
It is.
But that's what makes this story so powerful.
Powerful how?
It makes us confront our own prejudices.
Oh, yeah.
And the ways we might be contributing to the marginalization of others.
Right. Like maybe we all have a little wickedness inside us.
Maybe.
And it's our choices that determine whether it takes over.
It reminds us that the line between good and evil isn't always so clear.
And it makes me think,
what?
If Wicked challenges us to rethink our definitions of good and evil, what other classic stories could benefit from a similar reimagining?
Oh, that's a great question.
What if we flip the script on Cinderella or Little Red Riding Hood?
Or even Romeo and Juliet.
What new perspectives could we gain?
Imagine seeing Peter Pan from Captain Hook's point of view.
Ooh, I like that.
What if he was once a lost boy himself?
And became disillusioned with Neverland?
Exactly.
Or a retelling of Sleeping Beauty from Maleficent's perspective?
What if she was actually trying to protect the princess? The possibilities are endless.
They really are.
And that's what makes this idea of flipping the script so exciting.
It allows us to see familiar stories with fresh eyes.
To challenge our assumptions.
And to discover new meanings.
Even in the most well-worn tales.
And who knows, maybe these reimagined stories could help us better understand ourselves.
And the complex world we live in.
Because as Wicked shows us, there's always more to the story
than what we see on the surface.
And sometimes the most unexpected perspectives can be the most illuminating.
I think that's a great place to wrap up our deep dive into Wicked.
I agree. Thanks for joining me for this fascinating journey down the Yellow Brick Road.
It's been a pleasure.
And remember, folks, there's always more to discover beyond the rainbow.
Keep questioning and keep exploring.